Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Living Astrology with Janet Hickox. It is good to be with you all this morning. I'm telling you, it's been a week. Time to grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back, and maybe just relax while we chat about what is going on in the stars above. And you can see I have my friends with me today, Pia and Cullen. It's great to have you with us.
We're happy to
Alive
be
and well.
here.
Alive and
Yes.
well. I don't know about you guys, you listeners, you're going to have to chime in with us this morning because I can tell you that the last 2 weeks for me have been a roller coaster ride, ups and downs, and every place in between. And as I was chit chatting with Cullen and Pia behind the scenes, they indicated that was kind of happening for them too, with surprises or shocks. As
Mhm.
as in the case of you and me, and also just responsibilities it seems like that are upon us that maybe we didn't think we had to deal with before now. It's just kind of weird. But good morning to all of you. I see Teresa Dopreya. I know I just messed that up. But good morning, she says. Happy eclipse season. Looking forward to learning more about the energies, love and light. And then we also have Kathleen Mallory. Hello. And Tom Wright, of course. Uh Ka, Ka, Kalamera. That's good morning in Greek. Ah, well, now Tom is Greek. I love it. Good morning, Debbie Tibbetts Tumiel and JLo. Great to have you with us. So, Tom, you got to type in and tell us what suddenly got you into Greek. Just curious, because I'm a Gemini.
I
Just
think
curious.
I think he's I think he's speaking to us.
Yeah.
Oh, were you guys talking about Greek?
Well,
That
we know a little bit of Greek. Calimera does actually mean good
good
morning.
morning.
Calispera means good evening.
Ah,
So
great.
we know a little bit of that. I think he's trying to speak to us in a language that we relate to.
Good for you, Tom. I'm so happy that you can speak Greek now. It's all Greek to me. Oh my goodness. Other people checking in with us this morning. Hello, Joan Durchy. Good morning, Kajella. It's great to see you. Tom says Cullen and Pia are on the Greek backside of Cyprus. Ah, okay. So there's that. And good morning, Julie. It's great to see you out there. So we have a good listenership this morning. I have to ask a question, Pia. This is more on the personal side. Were you able to figure out how to get this to broadcast to your channels?
No,
Nope.
no. It looked fairly straightforward, but then it asked me for a couple of technical steps that I don't have the skill for. So I'll have to get some help and then I'll be able to do that. I'll have more
Yeah.
time to talk to our tech support and figure it out by the
Yeah.
next show.
Yeah, because that's something new with StreamYard is that any of my guests now can stream to their own YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, you want it to go to. So I love that. That's just like broader reach, right?
Yes.
So more
We'll
people hearing what we're doing.
we'll have it figured out by next month.
Yeah, great. I know I just kind of sprung that on you yesterday, but oh,
Okay.
okay. Good morning, Pam Zaruba. It's good to see you. Now today, I'm really kind of excited for us to talk about this morning. I actually posted for everybody earlier in the week, whatever day you sent me the form, how to calculate vortex days. So if you all have not gotten that yet, we will post it here for you this morning. And as well, you can get it from the YouTube description. So the YouTube description is just under the video. So once the video posts, which it's posting even as we speak, but I got to go back in and I'll post it and you can download this yourself. And it says how to calculate vortex days. And I'm assuming this is pretty much for everyone.
It
Um,
is. It's a general thing,
a
and
general thing.
I'll explain it when you're ready to do that so people will know
Yeah.
what strange design actually means.
Yeah. I think it looks like a bug or antennas or
Because
I don't know. It has a mystical quality because it just draws you in. I'm not sure what it means, but I'm eager to find out. Now, is I'm assuming it might be a prerequisite to this to know what your Pleiadian Earth energy sign is. Is that correct?
no, no,
No.
you need to know the calendar and what the days are in real life, what the energy of the day is. You don't have to know what your personal energy is, but you need to work with the calendar and know what the energy of the day is, because this is about general information for everybody. It's not specific to you. Now, it is helpful if you know your own personal energy, then the vortex days on days that have your energy will be more intense. So that's an added benefit to know that, but you don't have to know it in order to use this.
Cool. Now, yesterday's eclipse, well, it was actually on Wednesday night for me on the Pacific Coast. Pacific Mountain and Central Time had it on the 19th, but for most of the world, it was yesterday. 6 choosing was the eclipse. Tell us a little bit about what that means and how that plays into, I don't know, the chaos. I don't know what else to call it.
If you look at the chart and you go across and look at choosing and go across to where it's blackened in, it's a number 7. So yesterday was 6 choosing, not 7 choosing. So it was not a vortex day.
Okay.
If it had been a vortex day, I think the eclipse energy would have been even stronger because vortex days always amplify the energy. So I think we can all take a big breath and be thankful that it was not a vortex day.
I mean, it was brazen, crazy, out enough without that.
Yeah, there's enough going on already without that influence.
Yes.
Yeah, now I have a question. Was one remembering a vortex day? No, it does not look like it. Thank God. Because I'm thinking, well, maybe it was the beginning of the week that
No.
that caused this to amp up or what have you. But yeah, crazy. So let's dive in, shall we? I actually have it up on my computer so I can share my screen, if that
Okay.
helps, so that you
Sure.
can be explaining it. And then, before I do that, let's go back and talk about vortex days and what that means. We did that last month because Tom and I had this question about, well, what is that? But because it looks like we might have people that weren't here last month, tell us what vortex days are and why do we care?
We care because they are days of intensity. And intensity can be positive or negative. It can go in either polaristic direction here in duality. And since we have so much chaos going on right now, it's a pretty good idea to have a heads up about when a vortex day is going to happen. They are calculated based on the collective shadow of all of humanity. That's how this chart is drawn up. But what it means is that the 2 cycles of energy, the universal energy and the Pleiadian-Earth energy, are spiraling in conjunction together, and they come together on a certain day with a vortex of energy that increases their intensity. So the intensity will be stronger, whether it's positive or negative. It will just be an intense day. Now, if that happens when you're having a personal shadow cycle, it's going to be like, Katie, borrow the door. We don't know what's going to happen today. So it is helpful to know your own energies, but you don't have to know them to know that a day is going to be particularly intense.
Yeah.
And they're outlined in the Pleiadian-Earth Energy Astrology book. They're outlined, but the chart is not in the book. So the chart is new for everybody tonight.
This is the book, Pleiadian-Earth Energy Astrology, and there's so much good information in here about all of these different pieces of the calendar and the astrology and how it works together. Talking about, the universal days and then the individual days. All of these kinds of energies are here in and talked about in this book. So you can get the book, you can get the calendar, and then let's share my screen with that chart on it. Just 1 minute. I think this might be it. Ha! Tell me when you guys see it.
We see it.
Yep.
Yay! And is it big enough, or shall I make it a little bigger?
A little bigger would be good.
Let's see if it will let me do so.
And if not, we'll look at this.
Let's try it this way. Zoom. Ah,
There we
that
go.
makes, and I'm going to take out vortex days, and then we see the whole of the chart. How's that?
Great. That's perfect.
Okay.
Now, if you look at the very center where it's the darkest, starting at 4 in the top and going down at the bottom, that is a collective shadow cycle. Those happen every 260 days. They always begin on 4 being. They always end on 10 enlightening. Those are the energies because it starts for 20 days. It starts on the first of the earth energies, which is being, and it ends on the last of the earth energies, which is enlightening. And that happens in the 260 days when we're in the universal energy of 4, which is encouraging us to look at our foundations. And the energy of 10 is where it ends, which is where we can manifest something different. So
Okay.
that's the purpose of what the collective shadow cycles are. The way the vortex days work is they go outward. Look at the 2 stripes that are on either side of that dark one in the middle. It
Yep.
starts with 2 transcending and 3 transcending, and it goes down to 11 seeing and 12 seeing. So those are always on either side of a collective shadow cycle. From there, it's a geometrical pattern, as you can see, that just progresses diagonally out from the corners of each of these days. You have one more going across. Well, you have the diagonal patterns going up, and you have diagonal patterns going down, and then you have the central part right in the middle where they're branching out just a little bit for a couple of days here. So that each of the earth energies has a vortex day or 2 in their makeup. Always at least 2, and if it's around the collective cycle, you'll have 3 or 4. So if you want to utilize this and know how to use it, you'd look at, like we were talking about, what was yesterday, 6 choosing. Let's look at today, 7 exploring.
Yeah. So can you guys see my cursor moving around here?
Yep.
Yes.
We can
Okay,
see it.
that's 7 exploring.
Well, that's 7 exploring. So you can open your calendar and go, whew, that's not a vortex day. I would not live by looking to see if it's a vortex day every day. What I would live by is, if I'm having a particularly intense energy, go look up the vortex days and see if that's influencing what's going on, because that would be the clue that there's something that's outside of you that may be stirring up something inside of you, but it's actually outside of you that's energetic, causing disruptions. So this is how you work with and use vortex days. They're interesting. They are a more advanced way of looking at the Pleiadian-Earth energy astrology. They are not necessary for beginners. So for those of you who feel like this is too complicated or too overwhelming, just put it aside and work with the calendar with just the universal energies and the earth energies, and you'll be good.
Yeah. Now, if I'm looking at this, Pia, I see that if we're going down, this looks like the way the days are running. So the next vortex day is 13 catalyzing. Is that correct? Which will be on the 27th of April.
Yep, that's right. That's right. You're looking at it right.
And then if we go down here, does that mean then I start back up here? So we're going up and down these columns, it looks like.
Yes, that's
So
right.
after 13 catalyzing, the next day would be 4 listening.
Right.
Easy peasy.
Good.
So yeah, I don't want to make it sound like people should be anticipating vortex days, but I find that I find it's kind of useful. Maybe if you're planning your week and you know a vortex day is coming up, maybe it's not going to be the best day to do something of an intense quality already.
Well, possibly, but if it's a positive thing, it could bring really intensity in a positive direction. If you're getting married and it's a vortex day, that would probably bring more energy of celebration, joy, friendship, family, all of those things. If you've got to go to court for a lawsuit, don't go on a vortex day. If you've got to don't go on a vortex day. So it kind of depends on what it is you're scheduling, because vortex days can bring intensity in either polarity, positive or negative. You were going to say something.
Well, I was just going to add that it's a high or a low sort of equation. It could be extremely positive, extremely helpful, or, as Pia just noted, if it's a serious, heavy day, like going to court or doing something that's challenging, maybe not the best day to choose that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but sometimes, we're thrown into the pot. If it's a court date, for example, there's not a whole lot sometimes that you can do about that.
Right.
So then the idea that it's a vortex day could be something that's going to prepare you for.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And that has to do with attitude. Because
Yes.
if we're thrown something that, as you just mentioned, that might be overly challenging, instead of going into it thinking, oh, this is going to be terrible, this is going to be difficult, if we reverse that thought pattern or that feeling and say, well, I am going to get through this, and maybe something wonderful will come out of this experience. That will absolutely change the energy of what can happen.
Nice, nice. Now, let's see how we can figure this out if we know our own personal day, right? So I'm going to use me. I'm 2 remembering right here.
Mhm.
So I would have been 2 days old when I came into the first vortex day. Is that correct? Is that how that works?
No, no,
Okay.
not necessarily. You will never, because you're two remembering, you will never have a vortex day occur on the energy of your spiritual birthday, which is two remembering. That's your spiritual birthday that happens every 260 days. And because your energy is not in this chart, you won't have that on your spiritual birthday. If you just drop down one, if your birthday is loving, and maybe you're 10 or 4 or 11 or 5 or 12, you're going to have whatever those universal energies are. If one of those is your universal energy and your loving earth energy, you will have a vortex day every year on your spiritual birthday. So it just depends on which your birthday is every 260 days. But it's not about being 2 years old or 3 years old, because that's a Gregorian system of counting. This is based on the Venus system of 260 days of Venus cycling around the sun.
But what I was saying is that these are going in day by day by day, right? So it went from 2 remembering to 3 loving to 4
That's true.
feeling.
That's
And so
true.
4 feeling would have been the first vortex day for someone born on 2 remembering. Is that correct?
Yes, that would be correct. Okay, I understand what you're saying, that you would have been,
Okay.
yes. However, that 4 feeling will not happen necessarily at 2 years old. Again, that's a Gregorian count.
Oh, 2 days
This
old. I said 2 days.
2 days old. This is a
Yeah.
Gregorian count. I mean, a Pleiadian-Earth energy account based on Venus, not the Gregorian.
Right.
So probably 2 days, but maybe not.
And then, so if somebody like, okay, let's do you, Cullen, because you you are in tandem with the shadow cycle. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Yes, he is.
What's
But
your birthday? What's your birth one?
he does not have a vortex day on his birthday, though. He would be 12 healing. So you go down to healing over here on the side, on the left,
Okay.
under exploring, and you go across and look for 12. 12 is not a vortex day, which I would
Oh,
have to say, phew, since his shadow cycles are always aligned
yes.
with shadow, thank goodness he doesn't have that too.
I think that would be absolutely overpowering because I deal with both collective and personal shadow cycles simultaneously. If that happened on a vortex day, I think I would have to be in bed with the covers over my head, not venture out into the day at all.
And no talking to anybody.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, that's good. Now, Pia, where are you on this spectrum?
I am same line healing. I am 1 healing.
Okay, so same with you. You're not on a
I'm not,
vortex day.
nope. And I have the good fortune of not having any of my shadow cycles align with the collective shadow cycle. So I'm a
Yeah.
little easier ride than Cullen is.
It's actually pretty rare for someone to have what I have. I mean, it does show up in some people's charts, but it's not
common.
It's not common by any means. It's a really pretty unusual synchronicity.
I find that people who have their shadow cycles that coincide with the collective shadow cycle, they have a special mission to be able to do something for the planet. They are aligned with the planetary evolution. And so therefore their personal evolution, they get nudged in the same way that things are changing on the planet. So it's more intense for them. But that's their calling.
But that also means that it's possible that people like me can achieve something extraordinary because of those combined energies. So it's actually one of those double-sided coins or double-edged swords. If used properly with the highest potential in attitude and understanding, it can be a game changer and a wonderful thing. But if the person is, let's say, a little bit more negative or a little bit more troublesome in their outer personality, it's not such a good place to be.
And Janet, back to your question about being 2 days old when you had your first vortex day. And I said, typically yes, but not necessarily. That's because we are in the learning process of understanding that everything spirals. It's not linear. So it's going to come close to your second day of being alive on the planet. But it could start a little bit early or a little bit late. And that's true for everybody. So you need to look at this not exactly as a graph that's going to be on the money, but as coming into an energy that's going to manifest or heighten or be at the apex on that particular day.
Yeah, exactly. Now, also, Kajella points out that on page 215 of this book, the Pleiadian-Earth Energy Astrology, you have all of those days listed. I'm going
Right.
there to check it out myself because I know it goes up through quite a ways into the future, 2029, all the way through 2033.
Yep.
So you don't have to have this chart to know it. It's just a good tool to have to understand how this system works. But you
Right.
can absolutely go to the book, and it's Appendix A, and it tells us right there, today's 2023, April 8th, 10th, 27th. Well, the 27th would be the next day that we have a collective vortex day, excuse me.
Right. Right. And again, I would encourage everybody to get a calendar and use that. And let me just flip through the calendar that I have here and show you a couple of things. This calendar,
Let me stop sharing the screen with this thing on it so that people can see it better. There you go.
Okay. So this calendar, although it says 2023, is a non-expiring calendar because it has the outline of all the universal energies. All the universal energies are there for you to look and see what they are, what they mean, what they're good for. And then below that, there's all of the earth energies. So you can look at them and see how you can appropriately use the energy, what's the inappropriate use of the energy. That is really important. There's also explanations of the 13-day periods, which right now we're in the 13-day period of remembering. So that's in there. And there are 2 separate articles in there that are fairly lengthy, short explanations of summarizing how to use this energy to navigate your life. So it's more than just a calendar. It's a little bit of a manual.
A resource.
Yes, it's absolutely a resource, which you need to get right away if you're going to get one, because our major source of getting them out globally in the world is going out of business. So,
which is a total shock to us.
We just found that out.
Cullen just found it out just before the show started.
I found it out, and as soon as I found it out, I sent out a newsletter, and then 3 more emergency things came in, and I went downstairs to tell Cullen about the emergencies, and this completely escaped me. But Book Depository, which distributes all over the world, is going out of business. It will still be available at independent bookstores. It will still be available at Deep Books in the UK, and you might be able to find it on Amazon, but that's not going to be global for everybody. So if you want to get one, I would suggest that you get it right away. If you want to share it with anybody, get a couple of extras while they're available, because there's no telling how long they're going to be available.
The shocking thing to me is this is the biggest resource internationally for really important work. I mean, all the books and calendars and items that are really helpful to people at this time. People have been relying on this company for a long time, and I don't understand. I mean, this is so new to me right now, but I don't understand. It's a very popular company. It's very
they had lots of titles and stuff there.
It's a global resource, and I don't know if Pia knows more than she shared with me yet, but it's astonishing to me that a company has that far of an outreach would simply go out of business.
I think, and you know this already, this is not a surprise, but I think it's because Amazon took over Book Depository some time ago, and now they're shutting Book Depository down completely because it was just an arm of Amazon. I think that's what's happening, is they want the control over what is sold and what doesn't.
I think that's absolutely the answer.
Yeah, that's the answer. So anyway, I'm not trying to encourage you to buy a calendar if you don't want one, but if you do want one, I
get it while you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And it's bookdepository.com, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So let me type that in here for people. Um, I noticed the other day a friend, her energy almanac is up for an award. So she asked me to go and vote for it. And I started to go through it all. And I saw that you, Pia, have your book, your calendar, and the cards, you and Cullen, up for the same award in different categories. So congratulations on that. I, of
Thank
course,
you.
had to go through and vote for you as
Thank
well.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. We
Thank you.
appreciate that. It's
Yeah.
interesting that the cover awards have turned the voting over to the people, that they have done away with their judgment, their judging panel, and they've turned it over to voting for, whomever
Yeah.
wants to vote on it, which is like an election.
Yeah. Now, how much longer is that open? Because if so, you can share the link to people to do some voting.
We have shared the link and the voting closes. This is very interesting. On the same day that Book Depository goes out of business.
On the 26th.
April 25th.
Oh, I thought it was the
I
26th.
think, no, we know who wins on the 26th. Voting closes on, actually, it may be the 24th. It's the 24th or 25th.
So it's quite
It's
soon.
close.
It's quite soon.
Yeah. So send me the link after the show closes today, or if you know what it is, you can, oh, you can't type in there, can you?
No, but I can send it to you.
Yeah, put it in the chat and then is there a chat here? There's a chat, but I don't know that you can.
Well,
Yeah,
also
private chat.
there's a newsletter that came out yesterday,
I did
and
see that.
the link is in the newsletter.
Okay. So everybody who's subscribed to Pia and Cullen's newsletter, or I think it says Larkma, is that the one?
Yep.
The
Yep.
newsletter? Yeah. It'll
The
be
link
in
is
that.
it's in the newsletter that was released yesterday on the eclipse.
Yeah. For everybody go to vote and vote. There's lots of different categories, so be prepared. It took me probably, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes to go through the entire thing.
Yeah.
Because of curiosity, I just kept going, okay. Plus, I wanted to make sure it got submitted. So
Well, they also won't accept the ballot if you don't tick
go
off
all the
something
way. Yeah.
all the way through
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it was longer than I had expected, but it's so worthwhile because then we see that prestige comes then to some of these um interesting subjects that we really want people, the general public, to find out about as well.
Yep.
So that's a good thing. You can vote for the Energy Almanac because it's in a completely different category than Pia. And then as I just kept going, when I kept seeing you, I was like, oh, great, there's that. Oh, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And I was surprised that I didn't know about it, but then, I haven't been able to read all my emails even over the last couple of weeks. It's been so bizarre. All right. So Tom has a question. Does the vortex day intensify Earth energies or universal energies or both?
Both, because
Both.
they're coming together, two different energies coming together on a certain day. So it intensifies both of them.
Okay. And then also, for example, for listening is the next vortex day. Does that mean more intense listening or question mark, question mark, question mark?
Well, 4 is the energy of foundation. Listening is obviously what it says, going inward and listening. So it has to do with listening, but while you're listening, the question is in your consciousness about what is it about my foundations that I need to hear or know to make changes?
Yeah.
What is it about that? Because it's the listening to get the information, but the 4 energy is about foundation. And our foundations on this planet are being shaken to the core because we're getting rid of things that don't work and we're calling in things that we want that are better.
Yeah. The next vortex day, though, is actually 13 catalyzing.
Right.
It's on the 27th. Maybe the one after that is on for listening. But it's interesting to know that both of those energies, the day and the Earth energy and the universal energy, are both kind of amped up.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And I would imagine a vortex day that's falling on 13 catalyzing is going to be a big one.
Yes, 13, the energy of integration, catalyzing the energy of a lightning strike, shaking everything up, making things happen. So yes.
It's probably more auspicious than other vortex days because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big one. Especially coming, where the eclipse windows, I usually would think of them as 1 to 2 weeks coming, 1 to 2 weeks in action, and then
Mhm.
1 to 2 weeks waning, just because the power of that type of astrological configuration. So that puts us, a week into that period of the waning of that eclipse. So,
I think that's a really important thing to discuss because things don't just happen on a single day.
mhm.
There's always a buildup. There's always the most powerful part in the middle, and then the waning. I mean, the waning
Yeah, the
going
waning.
away from it. Larkma has tried to help excuse me, humanity understand that things never happen just on a specific Gregorian date. There's always that movement of beginning, middle, and end. And people tend to think, oh, it's going to be on that day. It's going to hit us, and then it's going to be all over, and we're going to be fine. And it just doesn't work like that.
I think with what's
Nope.
going on in Western astrology and with Pleiadian-Earth energy 13 catalyzing, and it being a vortex day, I would say that's going to be a day of tough decisions. I would say we've got squares that are operating against us, giving us pressure, and we've got the catalyzing saying time to make changes, and the 13 saying time to energize. And I would say we're going to be having some tough decisions to make that day or around that day, as we just discussed.
Yeah, the moon will be in Leo that day, and
Mhm.
that makes me think we're gonna have to set our egos aside to make
Mhm.
the best decisions, right? To not
Yeah.
make it all about us, to try to stand back a little bit and see
Yes.
how our decisions would impact everyone around us.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Shifting the I to the we.
Right. That's a good one. That's a good one.
And don't forget, this is happening during Mercury retrograde.
Mhm. Yes, indeed, which started at 1:35 AM Pacific time this morning. Yay. But I've had a Mercury I've had Mercury as a retrograde, starting, I don't know, maybe it was last week sometime, and I was like, "Okay, I get it. I better start slowing down just a little bit to make sure I'm not missing." I discovered that we'd missed one of my husband's doctor's appointments back in February,
Hmm.
and I was like, I asked him, did didn't you have an appointment at the eye doctor?" And he's like, "Yeah." And neither one of us could remember when it was, and so when I finally called them, they were like, "Oh, that was February 21st. Oops, sorry." But anyway, things like that just suddenly come up. Mercury retrograde reveals all kinds of things, right? Sometimes it's revealing things that you've forgotten. Other times it's revealing a step that you skipped, right? Missing out on a certain step. And I had to die laughing. I'm going to share this. I hope my daughters aren't listening. But this week, my oldest daughter decided that she wanted to dye her hair, and that she wanted it to be all blonde. I mean, she has a lot of blonde, and then it was darker toward or blonder toward the tips and darker up at the top. So she decided that she wanted her daughter to help her, and it did not go well. Not well at all. And I was laughing to myself because we had two manifesting generators trying to dye their hair. And what do manifesting generators do? They skip steps, right? They skip steps, or they want to go fast. So
Mhm.
what she did was they rinsed her hair out too soon and it turned orange.
Oh
Whoa.
my.
It's
Oh
like, oh my God. So what did she have to do? She had to redo it. And I had not said this to them, that, if you're a manifesting generator and you're having your hair done, you might want a generator or a projector, somebody that's going to slow things down a little bit to help you. Because otherwise there's a tendency to skip steps and to just, jump out ahead, which is okay for them to do. But when you're doing your hair, I don't know. I think you
yeah.
want to be steady Eddie on that one.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was
So
kind of
that
funny.
that was truly a classic bad hair day.
Correct, right? It turned out like the bottom half of her hair turned out gray, and the top part of her hair turned out orange. So she looked
Wow.
ridiculous. And now she's fixed. She's fixed. I saw her yesterday, so she's all fixed up now. But Oh my goodness. Astrology really does apply to our daily lives. I'm telling you so many times. And often, though, it's in retrospect, right? We go, oh, that was a vortex day. That's why, I was so emotional, or this was, bigger than it should have been, or, more joyful than I expected, or whatever that experience is. Um, but if we are also proactive and we're looking ahead to what's coming, then we could be prepared.
Mhm.
Like, there shouldn't have been anybody that's listening to the show that wasn't prepared for any of the surprises or any upending in your lives for the eclipse, because we talked about it for a long time, lots of different times. Um, Better than green, Tom says, like Anne of Green Gables. Indeed. Okay, so right now, before I don't even know what time we're at. 8:35 already. Oh my goodness. Let's switch to astrological stuff. There's not a lot to talk about because, sometimes after the eclipse, we need integration time. We absolutely need integration time to let everything that's gone on settle, but it's not even so much that it's settling, it's not even all the way revealed yet as to what the new direction might be, or, things that are manifesting in your life might be things that are leaving your life so that it's making room for what's coming into your life. And it's interesting that the very like hours after the eclipse, the sun moved into Taurus. So we shifted from the seed planting, new beginning energy of Aries to the cultivating, nurturing energy of Taurus. So now it's time to slow things down a bit. I think Mercury retrograde helps us in all of this. Now it's time to slow things down and kind of get a bead on what the next steps are, and choose something, right? To really actually, choose something that you want to grow with, or that you want to take into the future or into the next steps. So we have that happening, and Mercury is retrograding between 15 and 5 degrees of Taurus. So for those of you who have your own charts, that's the little space where you're going to have, Mercury moving back and forth. And if you have a planet there, between 5 and 15 degrees of Taurus, then it's going to get disrupted. And of course, anything maybe opposing it or squaring it. There's the other angles as well, but I usually just think of the squares, the oppositions, or the conjunctions for a Mercury retrograde. And we are in retrograde now until May 14th. So 3 weeks. But there's always the shadow, right? The shadow of the retrograde, right? Remember the waxing, the happening, and then the waning. Same thing with a retrograde. We have the couple of weeks leading up to the retrograde, then the 3 weeks of this retrograde, and then a couple of more weeks as it finishes up that transit. So the whole cycle is actually from April 7th to May 31st. That's a long time. So the actual retrograde, April 21 to May 14, but then we have until May 31st to clear that retrograde phase and start a new cycle. So things can be a little disrupted for the foreseeable future. But not to worry. It usually just does. If you slow down consciously, remember Taurus is a sign that is deliberate. It's earth. It's practical. It's down to earth kind of sign. If you remember to love, because it is ruled by Venus, and to simplify, those are things that are going to be helpful during this Mercury retrograde. And then, of course, tomorrow is also Earth Day, celebrating Mother Earth, being kind, helping others to see what their actions are that might be not so beneficial to Mother Earth, checking out your own self. Am I in alignment with taking care of Mother Earth? And the moon, if we just talk about the moon for a minute, the moon is in Taurus today and until early tomorrow morning. But for the most part, Saturday and Sunday, the moon is in Gemini. So expect it to be a sort of chatting day, conversational days, um, maybe traveling days. I'm leaving this afternoon to travel to go to Eastern Washington to help take care of one of my sisters. So definitely going to, lean into that Gemini energy. Also expecting the traffic because, Mercury's retrograde and it rules traffic, or cars anyway. Then on Sunday, we also have another iteration of Mercury in a sextile to Mars. Of course, this happened first when Mercury was in forward motion and now retrograde. It's moving back over the same spot. Mercury retrograde in Taurus while Mars is in Cancer. And, I can see now how maybe that aspect is causing us to really get closer to family and to make decisions that are more grounded in balancing our needs versus the needs that we have, in the world. Whether that's with family or career or, in just being, in the world. The Human Design Week coming up, starting on the 22nd, the sun will be in the gate 27. Interesting, it's a gate of nurturing. It's actually called the gate of accountability. It's about teaching ourselves to be accountable for our own care and well being, but also helping others to find ways to be accountable for their own healing, health, and well being. So that's where the sun's focus is, but then the earth always brings up the challenge. So what's the challenge in the field? It will be earth at gate 28. Gate 28 is called the gate of struggle. Struggling to take care of ourselves and others, mm, but struggling for meaning, the meaning behind all of it. My son said something to me yesterday, and it was kind of weird because, like, out of the blue, he said, you know, it doesn't matter what happens, it's all meaningless anyway. And I went, "Oh, you're speaking through your gate 28," because he's of the age group where the gate 28 was prominent in the age. He's 32, so the young 30s, they all had gate 28. I think it's Neptune or Uranus that was sitting at that gate for them. So they already come with this idea of meaning or meaninglessness. And that's one of the challenges in the 28. It's on the spleen center, which is the center for fear, but also the survival or thriving energy within us, right? The push for success. But the fear there can keep us wondering about what's the meaning of life. We're going to die anyway. What's the point of being born only to die? That kind of thing. And they come with that, right? He comes with that. And it was so weird because we're sitting in the hospital with his wife getting ready to have an ultrasound because she's pregnant. And I'm like, "You're looking at a new life, and you're telling me that it's meaningless." I was like, it was weird. It was just
Yeah,
surreal.
yeah.
But that is kind of the thing, right? We have these joyful moments, and we're looking ahead at, having this baby. But in the process, it's still, you know, the struggle is all about finding the meaning. What is the meaning? What's the purpose? Or is this all purposeless? Right?
Well, I
It's
think that new little being that's coming is going to help him answer that question.
no
Absolutely,
kidding. No kidding.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
I think the eclipse season that we're in is going to allow us to slow down enough and to really look at what is meaningful to us, what is important to us.
Mm,
By slowing down, I think we can at least get a little bit better picture of what's important, what we want to achieve, and maybe realize that we're moving too fast all the time. So I think this eclipse season is going to be exceptionally good at slowing down, looking at what's important, and maybe rearranging our lives a little bit.
mhm. What's the most important thing, right? And yeah, I mean, we all know once we're here anyway that, there's an exit somewhere along the path. We don't know when, we don't know where exactly, but it's coming. So the best that we can do is make every moment as meaningful as possible and think of life. The high side of the gate 28 is that we look at life as an adventure. We rise to the challenge of whatever it is that is happening in the moment and live every moment as if it's your last. And if you tap into that, then it takes away a lot of the fear that life there's no purpose here, right? It shoves it away enough that, and it's not that it shoves it away. That's probably the wrong way to look at it. But in human design, we say feel the fear and do it anyway, right? The
Mhm.
fear is just a part of our DNA. It's there. It's kept us alive for a long time. So we can't just say go away, fear. We have to be able to say, I see you, fear. and I'm going to do this anyway. Right. Thank you for showing me that I still am afraid of heights, or I'm afraid of getting in a relationship, or whatever it is, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Well, that's using fear as a tool rather
Right.
than a problem. We can use it as a way of growing and expanding and moving into a different direction. I mean, people really don't use fear as the way you just explained it, in a very rational or very positive way. And
Mm,
it's there on purpose to help us move forward, to learn something, to change what doesn't work, and move into a different position.
yeah. And there's different kinds of fears. There's the existential fears, the ones that are like, if I jump off this cliff, I'm likely going to lose my life, or I'm going to, be battered and broken. That kind of fear is the healthy kind of fear, because it's causing you to go, wait a minute, let's evaluate first. Is this worth doing? Or the intuitive kind of fear, you're walking down a dark alley and the little prickles go up on the back of your neck, and you're like, maybe I shouldn't be here. Let's find the first building I can get into and find safety. But then there are the other fears, the false fears, right? Those are the ones that we contend with this time of the year, with the earth challenging us through the false evidence appearing real. The fears like, I'm inadequate. I don't know enough. I'm afraid of the future. I'm afraid of the past. I'm afraid that life has no meaning. That's the one we're at this week. And, fear of perfection. It's never going to be perfect. I'm imperfect. And on and on. Those are fears that we call false evidence appearing real, and are the ones that we have to push through in order to get to the other side. I would never say continue walking down that dark alley with the prickles on your neck and tell yourself that, your intuition's wrong. There isn't somebody stalking you. Come on. That would be not the right use of fear. So anyway, we have to be wise about fear. All right. We have a couple of birthdays coming up this weekend. My friend Debbie Tibbetts Tumiel and J Lo both have birthdays on Sunday, the 23rd. And I know I'm missing somebody, because there was always a third person whose birthday was the same day as Debbie and J Lo's. If you're out there, happy birthday. And anybody else, happy birthday. I'm doing a reading today for someone whose birthday's this weekend. So it seems to be a popular time for a lot of people. My own father was born on April 23rd, and my mother was April 26th. So there's a lot of, birthday time going on right about now. So wishing you both a happy birthday. Now tell me, Pia, that puts their birthdays at 9 seeing.
Mhm.
Does that have any meaning for them? Like, I do charts for people with their astrology for their birthdays. Do we do something like that in Pleiadian-Earth energy astrology?
Well, what nine seeing brings to these people on their birthday, first and foremost, is to remember that it is their Gregorian date, and to look at the energy of the Gregorian date. It will not be the same every year. So it's not going to be nine seeing next year. It's only nine seeing this year, which really helps keep you in the present moment. So
Hmm.
what does that bring as a birthday gift? Nine is the energy of harmony, and seeing is the energy of trying to get the higher vision, trying to see the whole picture. People who have seeing energy are very, very good at details, but sometimes they can't grasp the whole picture. And so it's a little bit challenging for them to see the whole picture. But with nine harmony coming in, they can take the high road of seeing energy and put the little details together and get a better view of the whole picture. So I'd say that's a pretty good birthday gift.
I would say so too. That's awesome. But then everybody in Pleiadian Earth energy also has their spiritual birthday, which is when the days come back to the same day as it was when they were born, right?
That is the completion of 4 shadow cycles. When you have worked through 4 shadow cycles, which happen every 60 days, and worked on your shadows, you come to the energy that was present when you were born, and that is your spiritual birthday. And it is a time to celebrate and go, yippee, look what I've worked through in the last 260 days. Celebrate it, because you're going to start in another 60 days on another round of shadow cycles. So it's a good celebration of work accomplished, mission achieved, celebrating who you are.
Love it. So happy birthday to those of you out there celebrating early Taurus birthdays. And of course, that means the sun for them is taking on the new meaning of the eclipse that's just passed. So this eclipse for them is really activated through their entire year, not just for the time period, the 6 months between now and the next eclipse. So it's kind of interesting to see how that might play out, how the energy of newness plays out for them, for the seed planting, how that plays out. So JLo says she just had her Venus return also on the eclipse. Awesome. So Venus cycles begin our new relationships, or our relationship to relationships and financial concerns and value and self-worth. So taking a next evolutionary leap in that direction. Um, yes, I can do that. Debbie, she says, any chance of a birthday card draw for 23rders? I love that. We have a group called the 23rders. And I love that. So, okay, Debbie, do you have a preference of card deck that you want me to pull? What's your intuition? Remember, we had a chat yesterday about intuition for you. So let me know that and I'll pull a card. Pia and Colin, is there anything else that you want to share about what's going on? Wisdom from Larkma, events that you guys are going to be putting on?
We have a live call with Larkma this coming Sunday. It'll be a short one where Larkma's just giving a message, and they're going to be talking about the eclipse that we just went through and the coming eclipse next month. They'll be talking about that, and people are welcome to join that. It's a free call. They can join it. Just go to our website, larkma.com, sign up for the newsletter, and you'll get the instructions on how to join the call. As far as anything that I would like to say, I would just like to encourage people to recognize that this is a bumpy ride, and that's okay. You're not in it by yourself. We're all hitting those bumps pretty hard right now. And apparently that's the way it's supposed to be.
We're all in this together.
Yes.
We are indeed. This is a team effort. I think it's really important to realize, building on what Pia just said, this is a pretty momentous time right now. Not only these two eclipses, but other astrological influences, political influences.
Always.
There is so much going on simultaneously that it looks like we're living in just such a completely chaotic environment. And we can look at it as challenge, difficulty, but we can also look at it as opportunity. All of these things that we've lived with that we don't really like are potentially going away. And with the energies that are coming in, we have the ability to create new ideas, new systems, new technologies. So even though this looks like a bumpy road, as Pia just described it, it's also totally open to newness, totally open to new things that we can create together to make a better world. So yes, a bumpy road, but also maybe a enlightening and revolutionary time at the same time.
Yeah, definitely that. And, I just have to say that how nice it was. This is going to sound weird, but when you guys said you were also having trials and tribulations, I was like, thank God it's not just me. Right? There is that feeling of, camaraderie. We're all in this together. Your struggles are different than mine, but the perception I was having this week is like everything just keeps falling onto me. It's nice to know that it's not just me.
I think it's exceedingly important to share, not to just complain, not to just dramatize what's going on in our individual lives and also in our collective lives. But I think that sense that you just mentioned about we're not going through this alone by ourselves gives us strength, and maybe gives us a little bit of courage to realize that, yes, it is tough, but we are going to get through it.
Yeah.
And because Pia and I talk to people worldwide on a daily basis, we're getting pretty identical stories from people, whether it's symptomologies of bodily problems, whether it's financial, whether it's
Family issues.
boy, that's the one I was going to bring
That's
up.
a big one. right
Family
now.
issues right now for many. It doesn't matter whether the occurrences or the specific situations are that similar. What's important to realize is that we're all being hit at the same time. And I think we can feel a sense of camaraderie and a feeling that maybe this isn't just aimed at me. And I think that's a much better way to look at this than thinking that it's, oh, poor me, a pity party just for me.
Yeah, get your violins out, everybody, because everybody needs your violin. But there's comfort in that, right? It was funny
Yes.
because I was kind of whining to my husband this morning about why does all of this fall onto my shoulder, and he's like, because you're the one that handles it the best. So there's that. But
That's
maybe I don't want
actually,
to.
that's
Oh,
actually a great comebacker answer.
yeah. Yeah, he's just looking at me like, because you handle it the best. Okay. I do. Really, when I think about my husband having to handle everything that I've been handling this week, he would crush, right? He would just go, "Yep, not doing it."
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I am getting ready to draw a dog pack card for our crew that are in the midst of their birthdays. And I get appropriately party girl, poodle, poodle. And you can see underneath it says party girl. So
Oh,
party
that's
girl
That's
poodle. This is for your birthday. I have no idea what this card is going to say except maybe party on. Let's see. Poodle begins with a P, so it's going to be after N. There we go. It says, "You are elegant, dignified, good natured, highly intelligent, and love being around other people. Others are mystified by your self assured confidence, which is neither arrogant nor pushy. Your balanced energy at play and work is a beautiful balance to behold. The people you meet at this time through networking will be a great support and connection for you. It's important for you to look nice and be put together, so do just that. Get out of the house and go have some fun. Poodle advice: it's possible to have it all and look good doing it." I
great.
love this one for you guys for your birthdays.
I,
Poodle.
Yes.
I am amazed that every time a card is drawn, it is so specific to the question. It's just, I mean, party girl is perfect for celebrating someone's birthday. I mean,
Yeah,
how could that be any more appropriate than that?
that's absolutely right. But I'm also going to pull a spirit card, animal spirit card for the group, for all of us, like for the weekend. Let's see what wisdom we get from that. And Pia, do you have your cards handy?
I can get them.
Yeah, let's have you draw a card for us from the Pleiadian deck. So let's see what the animal wisdom is for the group, the collective here. Oh, and it is skunk spirit. Know your worth. Know your
Wow.
worth. Card 54, which is a 9. In the Pleiadian system, 9 would be harmony, right?
Yes.
So harmony, skunk spirit. Let's see what she says here. She was upright. 54, she's gonna be at the other end. All right, so
Okay, you draw the card. I'll read it.
all right, let's get 54 done here first. Okay. What do you value? What do you believe in? Is your best, most authentic self on display? Skunk spirit comes as a reminder that you can be proud of who you are and what you have accomplished. Know your worth. Not everyone will agree with you or share your values, but you can walk with your head high, knowing that when you express your integrity, others can feel your authenticity and will be inspired by it. Be who you are. And if your reputation precedes you, good. You have much to be proud of, and Skunk Spirit wants you to be your best self, the true you. So, not such a
That's,
stinky message after all.
and from the Pleiadian wisdom cards, if I can get that on the screen. From
Yeah.
that, Cullen just drew a card for everyone for right now, what we're going through. And the answer in what he drew was 6, purpose, which is
Ooh.
about trust. Your job is to remain free of fear, which we were talking about earlier,
Mhm.
open to trust, and curious about what is coming next. And the book says, use curiosity, confidence, and trust to align yourself with the new evolutionary energies that are arriving on the planet. Participate with and trust the changes by listening to your heart's guidance. Discern what is true and what is not, so that you know where to place your trust. Detach from things that no longer serve you. Desist from judging others. Trust that you can take back your own power and align yourself with the energies that are here for your evolution. Trust that the universe always knows what is best for your evolutionary path, and trust in your own heart's wisdom.
I love
And,
it.
and I have to say, that basically speaks of what I said a moment ago when you asked if we had anything to say at the end of our discussion. And I talked about how we are at a rocky road space, but the opportunities are here. If we work on what's necessary, if we slow down, things will change in a positive way. And that's exactly what that card's bringing forward.
And if you go to
Isn't it perfect?
the advanced use of the universal energy 6 of this flow, it says, allow the power of trust to help you flow around obstacles. Your purpose is to always trust and work with the universe. So that's what we all have to do, flow around the obstacles, because they're going to be here.
Oh, yeah, they are. At times, right? Oh, I love it. So the cards, they never fail to just sort of enhance the message that we bring. So I love that. Thank you both so much for being here this morning, and thank all of you for tuning in and listening. I will see you again on Monday for the next broadcast. Don't forget, today is AstroDesign Meetup Day, 12 noon. The Zoom link is on my Living Astrology Facebook page. This is your opportunity to ask questions about your personal astrology, your personal gene keys, your human design, or anything that you want to talk about. So today at 12 noon, 12 to 1:30-ish p.m. Pacific time. So 3 p.m. on the East Coast. That's it for me. Thank you so much, Pia and Cullen. We'll see you next month. It will be May 19th when we see you
Yes.
next.
Yes. We
All
look
right.
forward to it. Have a good month, everyone.
Take care. Bye for now.
Bye-bye for now.